Welcome to the Daily Dose podcast, and it is my absolute pleasure to bring someone into the room today who has become both a professional advocate, a very much close and trusted colleague, and I would dare to say a new friend, someone who I look at with respect, admiration, and absolute awe. Dr. Yash Pandey is not only a surgical doctor, he's a game changer in the world of Indian health. I was privileged enough to meet him last year at Oxford University, and I have to say, he has that many letters after his name that I could not give them all to you, but I do ask you to check out his qualifications, which I will share at the base of this podcast. He has successfully completed more than 10,000 surgeries, and ahead of him, he has huge vision that will be a game changer for the face of cancer in India. Dr. Yash Pandey, welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Please tell the audience about your incredible beginnings, because I cannot actually do any justice to the things that you've completed and that you've done. I'd love the audience to hear about the things that we were talking about prior to coming onto the call. What caused you to have this compulsion to get involved in the world of medicine and not only just graduate, but change the face of Indian health?
Ma'am, actually, my journey has been deeply rooted in a desire to serve the communities that often get unnoticed, especially in the underdeserved and the tribal regions. One of the most deafening moments was when I took a bold step in establishing my first hospital in the rural belt, where even a basic healthcare was a luxury. The lack of infrastructure and the trained personnel posed immense challenges, but that experience taught me that the change begins with persistence. The single center became the blueprint for several others that followed. I did, within a span of 8 years, I performed more than 10,000 surgeries. And now, and that too, many of the surgeries which I have performed so far maybe is in the reign of charity, because the place I have started, at this place people usually think that the healthcare, which should be the essential and integral part of individual person, is a luxury, and they don't have even some money that they can afford the healthcare. This is the way I started my hospital, and I'm trying to gain, with my experience and with the efforts I'm bringing it behind the hospital to make it a successful venture.
So I hear this and I know what you're achieving in Varanasi, but your vision is so much larger. You're going in so many other directions and you're moving quite rapidly. I mean, this isn't just about Varanasi, it isn't about Uttar Pradesh, it's about India as a whole. And the continent itself is going through a massive surge of change, especially around education and health in the tribal areas. And I guess one of the things that I want to really touch upon here and settle on and ask you is, there are lots of challenges when you're serving those tribal areas. There are lots of things that you have to get past. And I know in my own career, working both in forensics and working in health, there are glass ceilings that you've somehow got to smash, get past, clean up the mess, make sure that you actually get to the people. What's impressed me most is your character and your composure. So tell me what the challenges have been in achieving these goals.
The most important challenge and the most toughest challenge I faced was, building trust within the community. It was the most difficult aspect for me to say. In tribal areas, there is often skepticism towards the modern medicine, and the cultural barriers run deep. We had to invest time in not just treating people, but educating them. Over time, we initiated many of the health camps. I must tell you that I personally have organized more than 1,000 health camps, free health camps for all those poor and needy. We had many of these school tie-ups and the local awareness programs. This wasn't just about the healthcare. It became about the community development, the women empowerment, and all the other inclusions which was the basic need for anybody's life. I learned that health is deeply interconnected with the education and trust.
The education and trust of the community is huge. And I guess I want to touch upon that. It's all about relationships. And I know that when I think about the Pacific and I think about, sovereign nations, people who've had to really build their nations back up, they've been affiliate with the crown, but then, had to reinvent the wheel a little bit around trust again, to build something. And, India is known for its caste system. And there's such a difference between levels of trust because there's a different expectation, and value of humanity, the value of human life. I've seen it myself, having been born in India. My father's work was Mother Teresa, and going back several times, and even our project, our WIN project, which is designed with a desire to change the face of education, both at a corporate level, but also to be able to create, women in STEM opportunities. And then in the tribal areas, which is where we've come together, to be able to offer programs at next to nothing so that we're increasing confidence, health and education, because health, education, and network changes the future.
Yes, ma'am. True.
As soon as you have that opportunity in front of you, and as soon as you are treated well, then you begin to feel valued, and that sense of value changes your confidence and about what you deliver, because we all know that confidence is not just a mindset, it's a set of emotions that can either swell you up with pride or it can take you in very different directions. I want to ask you a little bit more about, we've talked on challenges, but industry itself has led some trends, and obviously it's going to lead a gateway of opportunity, or it may present barriers. There are many challenges that can be crises that can become an opportunity. So tell me a little bit about the rapid change that we're seeing, that how is that fueling the direction for you? And that work in tribal areas is obviously taking a direct focus now for many in India. What do you think for the schools and the centres that you've started? Tell us a little bit about those and tell us about how now the trajectory is changing.
Yes. Actually, the healthcare industry, it is a constantly evolving industry, especially with the rise of telemedicine, the AI diagnostics, and the integrated care models. To stay ahead, I have made a point to blend technology with the grassroots outreach. In tribal regions, we have set up multiple mobile vans. Like that mobile vans consist of all the doctors, nurses. They reach out all the tribal areas and get the patients screened out over there. We have also made many of the e-consultation booths nearby our hospitals. Alongside this, we have started a small learning centers to train the local youth in the basic healthcare practices. Thus, in that sense, we are also not only giving the healthcare facility, but we are creating the employment and spreading awareness simultaneously. Bridging with the modern healthcare with the local realities, it is basically these two things are the key strategy for our vision, what I have achieved so far.
Dr. Pandey, you make it sound, and I know that it's difficult for you because we've talked about this before. we're doing this podcast in English, and we have so much, that goes missing in the colloquialism, and in, Hindi itself, there are other expressions. So I really thank you for preparing everything so well and being so articulate, because it's tough when we're working between languages. But I see so much composure in you, and I see so much that you're achieving. You've also said to me, look, I've got 2,000 students at a government school that I would love to put through your programs. How can help me solve the challenge? And I said to you, we'll solve the challenge. We got the programs to be $5. We did all sorts of different things. We've got your nurses going through the programs at the moment. We're looking at so many different ways to raise that sense of hope around what you're doing. You've had such a direct focus. One of the things I was going to say to you is, so how have you met the pressures? How have you met the challenges? What have you done to overcome what others might have just said, no, I can't do this any longer? So how have you been able to say, I'll keep going? Because that's the hardest thing, is the I'll keep going. And I know that as an entrepreneur too. Like, there's so much you want to do. And then some days you're looking at everyone, they see you as this incredible, calm person. And behind closed doors, you're just thinking, how can I do this? So how do you manage the pressure? How do you manage the pressure?
Okay. Actually, if I don't work for 16 to 18 hours, then I feel that I have not worked for the day. But still, many of times I find myself in high pressure situation. And in that case, I just ground myself in a purpose. I remind myself why I started. I have to make sure that if there is pressure, it doesn't matter for me. I always remind myself why I have started. Apart from all these things, I definitely go for meditation. This is a structured time blocking, and I've made a trusted core team which helped me tremendously. I did a lot of yogas, maybe for an hour or so. I do meditate along with that, and I also believe in a brief digital detox, because this is the era of digital. This is basically a digital era where you can simply not working physically, but you can get mentally detox because of these, all this the digital mobile laptop and conferences. So better to stay from the digital media and get a detox from that particular period. The inner stillness fuels long-term clarity, and with this you can definitely, after working for 3 months or so, get a short break. And if the threshold is increased, you might work for a long, and your results will be, it will be a very demanding results.
I love what you said, because I really believe in that. So 4 a.m. each day I wake up and I meditate, or I paddle, or I do something else. And I think there's a beautiful way of kind of building who you are to determine the next stage of where you can go to. And there's not so much the capacity for you to, I suppose, take where you are further without an ability to just sit within yourself for a moment and say, I need to just think about the quiet. And that digital detox is essential. We're in an era where we're moving from sea to space. So we're no longer just traveling over oceans, or through air over oceans. We're now looking at hemispheres above the earth, and we're looking at the next place for us is going to be between planets, but it's also going to be looking at habitats, and habitats for humanity sitting in space. Because from now forward, just like AI is really depicting us, because AI is us, we're creating it. When people get afraid of AI, I say, well, AI is you. It's you want integrity in AI, have integrity with what you put out there into the world, because AI is replicating you. And so for us to get past this next stage, a lot of what you're talking about, those quiet moments, that ability to know who you are, that sitting back, having that digital detox, it doesn't surprise me, because a person of your brilliance needs that quiet time to be able to center, because obviously surgery requires that complete focus, but you're not just doing surgeries. You're building hospitals, you're building education centers, you're building solutions for the poor, you're thinking about the next step. I mean, you're brilliant in terms of everything you're doing. If I ask you to reflect on resilience, I mean, working with the tribal areas, working with poverty, means that you are constantly challenging yourself to do more. You're constantly saying, how can I give you more of myself? And in that giving more of yourself, how do you keep that resilience? How do you keep that focus for the future?
Actually, resilience to me uh, is the ability to keep moving forward with compassion and enthusiasm, especially when circumstances are against you. The future of healthcare, I believe, lies in the integrated system where traditional wisdom and the modern medicine, the mental health,
Mm,
and the technology both should coexist together. Health should be accessible, affordable, and should be empathic to all. And this entire thing also is applicable to the education. If
mm,
you are educated, you will be, you will be quite comfortable to attain a good health.
mm. And I think that, again, it's people like you, Dr. Yash, who are aiming for the future. I mean, you've got some amazing things ahead of you. You've now set yourself the commitment of raising almost 20 million USD to begin a project that's going to cost you over 200 million to set up both a cancer institute, to set up more surgeries for the poor. You know, I think the world needs to know more about you. And I certainly look forward to more than just one podcast with you. I think what we need to do is to meet in person and to show the world what you are trying to do. There are so many things that I admire about the work that we've gotten to do together. But I believe that it's people like you who selflessly give of themselves, who are credible, examples. And so rightly, when the challenge is there, and there are so many challenges, we have to get past those challenges to be able to take the next step. And the only way to take that next step is to be able to say, I have to sometimes check out for my own health. I know that. I listen to you. You're a young man who's done so much, and I'm in my mid 50s now, and I'm still learning. I'm still visiting that opportunity to remind myself. It actually comes back to your own sense of calm and your own health, so you can do more for others. And I believe that the circumstances that you will change in so many communities because of what you're trying to do will change health, because if the women's health is going to change, then we see the future of children changing, and that changes
True.
everything in our economy. Because we have a saying at the Optimisation Hub is that women are the heart of our communities. And if we can somehow strengthen their resilience and strengthen their leadership, then we can strengthen them as mothers, and we can strengthen them as community builders, because there's still a staggering figure around 99% of the world's work is done by women. But we
True.
also acknowledge that young women and young men are coming forward now saying, we want opportunities to change and to be healthier. So I'd love you to visit us again, but could you give us a sneak peek about your vision for the future? What are you creating in Varanasi? What are you doing now? What are you building?
I'm actually run a charitable hospital in Varanasi. That is a 350 bedded hospital which is running as so far. And we aim to focus that we provide 200 surgeries per month is free for all the poor and needy people. In the field of department like surgical oncology, all the general surgeries, all ENT, ophthalmology, and so far many of the all departments are there. Urology, orthopedics, and all departments. This is a prime minister constituency, and I am have just visualized one thing, that I'm finding there is one thing which is lacking a lot in this prime minister's constituency is the Department of Medical Oncology. It should be revamped. Department of Cardiology, it should be revamped, because these two departments are so expensive that people are not able to afford their their treatment just because of the expensive treatment. I want to establish a oncology unit so that I can treat any of the cancer patient who are in dire need of treatment and don't have money for free. And similarly, I need to establish a cardiology unit, like patient having multiple young people in India are having heart attacks, maybe in 30s and 40s, which is quite alarming. And just for the sake that they don't have money, they are not able to be get treated. My hospital is already attached with many of the countries like Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Qatar, Kuwait. We are the patients from that country are getting treated at my hospital at a very cheaper rates, at the very subsidized rates. Similarly, I just want to do something for my country so that I can treat all the poor and needies who are in dire need of the treatment and are not able to access the health facility. They dream to be the health facility like a luxury to them.
You know, it's funny to think about health being a luxury, but it surely is. You know, the sense that you have something that you can't cure in your body, or you notice it and you simply just don't have the money to cover your health.
True.
Oncology being so important, you know, there are so many things that are diseases of the modern era